So I remember January 2015. I'm dropping my children to school. I have 4 children. I have a son who's 9, and I have triplets who are 6 years. And with all this, No, but seriously, so my son asks me, "Mom, why aren't you going to work?" And I didn't have an answer because I just lost my job. In December 2013, I had a very high-flying position at one of the pharmaceutical companies. And in June, we usually have appraisal. So when I had my appraisal that year, I had exceeded expectations. And then come October, my boss, who was based outside the country, comes in and says, there's a lot of talk along the corridors about you. People are not happy. Your direct reports want to resign, and we need to do something about it. So I told him, okay. At that time, I thought I had a very good relationship with my direct reports, who are only 2. I make a mountain out of molehill. So I said, okay, fine. So they did this 360-degree appraisals, and the reports came out around November of that year. And it was like it was describing 2 different people, because it was on soft skills. So it was looking at leadership, innovation, flexibility, and efficiency. And on one side, some people are writing, oh, she's a leader, she inspires her team, she organizes them into groups, she gives credit where it's due. And then on the other side, people have written, oh, she's not a leader, she will suit in a job. And I remember these words because they've refused to leave my mind. She'll suit in a job that does not require active thinking, continual learning, commitment, or focus. And with that report, they decided that I was no longer suitable for that position, and they decided to let me go. So December 31st, 2013, I lost my job. But I got a payout because I was going to sue them anyway. So we had an amicable agreement out of court, and I went home. So I had all this money, but no job. And for 4 months, I did not have any job. So the whole of first term, as I'm dropping my kids, I would go back home. But I took that time to reflect upon myself. I found out the kind of person I am. I did this personality test that I preach to everyone who cares to hear, the Myers-Briggs one. And I learned what kind of a person I am. I saw my strengths and my weaknesses, and part of my weaknesses are that I'm very sensitive to words. So you can neglect me, you can beat me up, don't try, but if you throw any words, I really reflect upon them. I will check whether it has a full stop, your sentence had a full stop, or an exclamation mark, and decide the tone of that sentence, whether it is something that's a personal attack. So part of the things that I learned about myself is to take a hard look at it and discover the kind of person I am. I love talking. In fact, I told Star, how can I share my story in 8 minutes? When I found out about myself, I knew that I had to tap into the potential that I have. And that included being someone who enjoys work that had advocacy in it, that stood up for rights, that was in the limelight, because I do love the limelight. Hi. So I was called to sit in a certain position in the medical association as a temporary relief, because the secretariat had just stepped out or resigned. And it is from there that I learned that this was my calling, that kind of job. Now, the type of job that I took up was with the association was paying me almost a third of what I used to earn. So I had to undergo very major personal readjustments. but the satisfaction that came out of it was over the top. The kind of professional development that I underwent, the exposure that I got, was something that no money could compensate for. And it is from that position of growing or creating something from nothing, because that's what I discovered. I am a fixer, and I fix things. That can be a positive thing, it can also be a negative thing. The positive thing is that you give me something to create, I will create it wonderfully. But the negative thing is that in my relationships, I also discovered I attract wounded people. And that can be very draining to you as a person. So with that, I learned what I have in my hands. I got into farming during that period because it was a barren piece of land. I had the time. I enrolled in rabbit husbandry. I actually hold a certificate, you did mention it in my CV, in rabbit husbandry. And I grew, or rather I transformed the farm into a rabbit breeding farm. Facility, and with that I got a lot of satisfaction. So what I'm trying to tell you guys is sometimes you go through something that you wonder whether it's the end of the world. For me, December 2013 will forever be etched in my mind because it was my turning point. I was very comfortable where I was, and I was kicked rudely into the curb of unemployment. But I took that opportunity to learn who I am. I took it to understand what kind of opportunities that are available to me and how I can make it work for me. So here I am. I have since moved from the employment that set me off to the awards. I'm doing something different. And even in this other place where I am, there is also a bit of turbulence. And sometimes I was sharing with my friend and saying, maybe I'm not the employable type, because I'm the type who speaks up, and not very many employers like that. So I am also in maybe next time, in the next year, I'll be coming back with another story of bouncing back based on what I'm currently going through. But I'd like to reassure you, or rather, I'd like to affirm maybe a few of you who might be going through something very challenging, that take it as an opportunity to reinvent yourself. Take it as an opportunity to have a hard look at yourself and surround yourself with people who will positively critique you, because I was now made aware of the blind spots in my life through that appraisal. Even if I still remember that harsh sentence, there are some things that I said were true that were not very positive about me, that I had to face them head on. So with that, I'd like to say that I'm proud of you, Esther, for setting out this stage where people can share, because I think sometimes in this life we paint a very rosy picture that everything is together until all that comes crumbling and the mask falls off and reveals our ugly selves. The other thing that I learned to do during that time was to have time with myself, because I'm very extroverted. I have so much energy, and I realized I was draining myself without knowing. So I do take some time off to also just step back and re-energize myself. So Esther, I'm trying to see if my 8 minutes is over, but it's about bouncing back. There are many areas I would have shared, but I thought the professional angle would come out better right now, because it is true, and it is a reality for many of us, that you may be holding on to something thinking that's the ultimate, and then the rug is suddenly pulled from under your feet. So take time to reinvent yourself, take time to venture and take risks. The opportunity that I took up was a very high risk in terms of income-wise and in terms of just who I am as a person. But I learned to apply myself, and I learned to tap into the potential that I have and make it work for me. So thank you very much.